Chris just brought me this giant juice thing from Starbucks because I didn't feel like having a coffee, but I learned something new today. I learned that venti is not the largest size at Starbucks, and this was a revelation for me considering I am as basic as the bees come. We're just gonna keep that there and sip it all the way through, you know what I'm saying? There was a video I did a couple weeks ago on how to get glowy AF photos at home, take them yourself, and some of my tips on how you can do that. I used a little bit of highlights, some bronze. I used actually a packing cube and the mesh on the front of that packing cube in order to create this really glowy, dewy look in my photo. What I also mentioned in that video is that it's really important to take some of those tips about contouring and contouring in makeup and apply them into your editing process later on. So what I wanted to do for you guys today is come up with a really simple Lightroom tutorial on how I apply some of those contouring ideas in editing my portraits. I'm going to be using the exact same photo that I took that day and show you a few of the things I did within Lightroom to just like glow it up even further and make myself look like really like chiseled and cool. The first thing I want to mention is that I definitely did a little bit of editing on my chest right here because I was sunburnt, so I just brought down some of the reds there a little bit, but let's just ignore that. I just want you to know what that little marker is. It's because I was sunburnt. First thing we're going to do is edit my eyes, and I like to use the Iris Enhance brush tool, and I just modify that depending on what I think looks best. You don't want to make your model's eyes look like a vampire. You don't want them to be too light and bright. I like to make sure I'm still keeping it really natural, but what I find that this does is really, especially if you have a model who has really deep set eyes, this just makes their eyes stand out even more and makes their eye color stand out even more. So really that just comes from bringing up a bit of the shadows, adding some clarity, adding a little bit of saturation. Occasionally I'll actually go into the colored part of my eye and maybe I'll tint it a little bit depending if I want them to look more blue or more green, because my eyes can kind of change color. They're a little bit of both. But I do this anytime the eyes are really visible in a portrait. It makes a huge difference in my photo. And although that's not really contouring, this is something I do on every photo, and it's a really important part of the editing process for me. Sometimes I'll actually, if you can see like the little speck of light that's being cast on your model's eye, occasionally I'll go and increase the exposure on that just to emphasize the lightness of that reflection, because it just adds a bit of a glossier look to the eye, I find. And occasionally I'll go in and darken my pupil as well. So you can just do that with exposure if you want. That works fine for me. And they look a little bit too bright, so I'm just gonna go back and bring down the exposure a little bit and make them a little less bright. Sometimes you kind of have to zoom in and out to make sure that you did a good job and you didn't overdo it. You're just trying to really, like, if I look at this photo, I want to look right into the model's eyes. Like, that's where I want to pull them, because that's where you would look into someone else's eyes if you were meeting them. So I think it's important to pay a lot of attention to this, even before you get into the contouring and some of the skin retouching we're going to do. But occasionally I'll go in and I'll tint my lips a little bit, because if you're going for a really natural look, you want your model to look really healthy. And part of that is having really bright, crisp eyes, and you want them to have a nice blush, and you want them to have really nice rosy lips. So I'll use the tint brush and I'll just bring a little bit of that rosy color into my lips. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of like spot removal on some little imperfections that I don't necessarily love about my own face. And you can just do that with this little spot removal tool. And again, you don't want to get rid of all the texture in someone's face, and you don't want to get rid of like beauty marks and little freckles and things like that. I want to leave those, but occasionally, we all have little like bumps and like scars and things that we may not want. So I find it really simple to do this in Lightroom. All these little things really make a big difference. You don't ever want to over edit someone's face. You don't want them to look over softened or it overdone. You still want it to look like them. So it's just making really small minor adjustments and zooming out and zooming back in to make sure that you've done a good job and you're not overdoing it. So next thing I'm going to do is use the Soften Skin brush. I'll tweak this as well. You can always start with the preset and then tweak it based on what you like. I'll go over all my skin with this brush, but you do want to leave in some of the texture. You don't want to get rid of all of someone's pores, you know what I mean? That's gonna make your skin look like skin. So you're just trying to soften out some of those fine lines and some of the shadows and things like that that are on your model's face. Now for the fun stuff, we're actually gonna start the contouring part of it. So I like to use the Dodge Lighten brush, and again, you can adjust the size and adjust the intensity based on what you feel looks good. You don't want to see harsh brush marks. You want it to blend in naturally with the face. So first, we're gonna take the Dodge Lighten brush. And the first place you contour, and probably the most visible one that you'll notice on people, is you go over the top area of your cheekbones. So I'm sure you can notice, I'm just gonna look at my monitor for a second. You can even see on my cheekbone, I put some on today so I can show you. Right here, I'm catching the light because of some of the highlight I put on my cheek. I would have a little bit normally, but you can see it so much more because I've added more, making my whole cheekbone look bigger and my whole face have so much more dimension to it. Another place you're going to want to add some highlight is to the Cupid's bow right on top of your model's lips, because it's just going to create more of a pouty look. Another place I like to add highlight is on the inner corners of my eyes. So again, I'm gonna look into the monitor because I'm pretty sure you can see right here, or when I look into the camera, I have a little bit of highlight on the inside corners of my eyes. The effect that that gives is it makes your eyes look a lot wider, a lot bigger, a lot brighter. It makes you look more awake and healthy again. So I like to add a little bit of light to the inside corners of my eyes as well. Another place you can add highlight is the top of your brow bone, so just below your eyebrow, not on the inside, but on the outside. So again, I like to bring that into my retouching. In the same way that we've emphasized all of the high points of my face, we're going to do that with my chest and my shoulders as well. And if you have a full body image of your subject, then you can go in and, apply these same techniques to legs and to maybe their abs or, whatever is reflecting light. All you want to do is go over those brighter areas again very subtly to add more dimension. So we're going to add it to the collarbones. We're going to add it to the top of my shoulder. Normally I would add highlight to the bridge of my nose as well, but I clearly did a decent job with my makeup beforehand. Maybe a little bit too much actually. And that's why you can see so much reflection on my nose, but if you're noticing in your image later on, your nose highlight isn't quite that bright, you could add a bit more down the bridge of your nose and right on the tip, because all that's gonna do is make your model's nose appear a bit narrower. Now, in the same way that we've emphasized all the high points of my face and my body, now we're going to darken all of the darker shadowed areas of my face and my body. We'll start with the cheekbones again. So I highlighted the top of my cheekbone and I want to darken just underneath my cheekbone right here. So if I turn towards the camera, I'm not really wearing any bronzer or anything today, but you can kind of see this line that's already a bit naturally there, especially if I make myself look like a fish. That line is what you want to emphasize. If my eyebrows don't seem very full, sometimes I fill them in with a little bit of darkening as well. I mean, these brushes are pretty versatile. If you see an area that you think should be lighter or darker, and don't think that you're limited based on everything you did before, you can make a lot of these corrections later on or emphasize certain things later on as well, and that's all we're doing by contouring in Lightroom. You can also go in and contour anywhere that's naturally casting a shadow. So I'm going to show you a before and after with none of this contouring editing done, and then an after with all of the adjustments we just made. So this is before and after. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's little tutorial about how to contour in Lightroom. It was really fun for me, and I think it's super cool that you guys asked for it. If you're interested in learning more about how I edit in Lightroom, then keep watching some of my videos, or if you just want to learn more about editing in Lightroom in general, then I would like to mention the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes covering dozens of creative and entrepreneurial skills. The premium membership gives you unlimited access, so you can join the classes and check out the videos that you want to check out. So whether it's something you want to learn in photography or for your career, or whether it's something you just want to learn for fun, then Skillshare might be the best place for you to do that. For example, if some of you guys are new to Lightroom, then they have an entire class, an entire Lightroom for Beginners class that you can take and learn all about it. Their annual subscription is super affordable. It's less than $10 a month, which is really great when you consider how much in-person classes actually cost. It's way less expensive. Because Skillshare is sponsoring this video, you guys can check out the link in the description below for a 2-month free trial. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what else you guys would like to see in Lightroom or anything in Photoshop. I don't know. Let me know. It's nice just chilling here at the computer at home with you guys. Give this video a like if you liked it, subscribe if you're not already, and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Thanks, guys. Bye!